what's up? This is Tajay of the Mighty Souls of Mischief crew. I'm chilling with my man Festo, my man A Plus, and my man Bo. You know he's dope. And right now, we're just maxing in the studio. We're hailing from East Oakland, California, and sometimes it gets a little hectic out there. But right now, we gonna up you on how we just chill.
Dial 7 digits, call up Bridget, her man's a midget. Plus she got fringe, yo, I can dig it. Here's a 40 spigot, you know it's frigid. I got him chilling in the cooler, break out the ruler. Damn, that's the fattest dog I ever seen. The weather's keen in Cali, getting weeded makes it feel like Maui. Now we feel the good vibrations. So many females, so much inspiration. I get inspired by the blunts too. I'll front you. If you hang with the bunk crew, I roam the strip for bones to pick. When I find one and I'm done, take her home and quickly do this. I need not explain this. A Plus is famous, so get the anus.
Hey, miss, who's there? I'm through there, no time to do hair. The flicks it ain't, so get straight. You look great, let's rub down. Oh, rub down, some flavor later, there's a theater. We in the gut, the cinema was mediocre. Take it to the crib so I can stroke you.
Kids get broke for their skins when I'm in close range. I throw game at your dip like handball, cause the man's all that. I'm leading chill from 93 till.
Yeah, this is how we chill from 93 till.
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 This is how we chill from 93
I be
till. School's in session, but I'm freshin'. Rapping, so I take time off to never rhyme. So I'm off on my own with my own. Rolling the back rows with a fat stove in front. Folding ones. Holding steps captive with my persona. Plus a bomb. Testing my patience, but I stay freshin'.
Resting at the mall, attendance on door. But I am shopping for my winter exploits. A few fits, some new kicks. I often do this cause it's the pits not being dipped.
Flip the flyer, attire female desire. Baby, you can step to this if you admire the extraordinary dapper rapper. Keep tabs on your main squeeze before I tap.
I'm attacker with the smoothness. I do this, keep it what my crew gets. Loot, pops, respect, and blunts to pass. Crews talk, but in my face the kiss might smash. They bite flows, but we make up new ones. If you really don't, why ain't you signed yet? But I get my loot from Jive Samba. I'm a bomb, yeah. You will see from now to infinity.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
Yeah, this is how we chill from 93 till.
Yeah, this is how we chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
Yeah, this is how we chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
Just cooling out, you know what I'm saying? But who's chilling around the land, you know?
Yo, who's chilling? I think I know who's chilling.
Hey, tell me who's chilling in that
Yo,
place.
Casual, he's chilling.
Yo, look, you gotta be chilling.
J-Biz, he's chilling.
Hey, yo, man, my man Snoop is chilling, man.
Yo, Mike G, he's here chilling.
Yeah, my man Mike D, we gotta chill.
Yo, the funky homo sapien is chilling.
Hey, my man Domino, yo, he's chilling.
Yeah, just like that.
Right.
I reminisce. Yeah. I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say think back 22 years ago to keep it on track. The birth of a child on the 8th of October. A toast when my granddaddy came sober. Count all the fingers and the toes. Now I suppose you hope the little black boy grows. 18 years younger than my mama, but I really got beaten with the girl of trauma. In single parenthood, there I stood. By the time she was 21, had another one. This one's a girl. Let's name her Pam. Same father as the first, but you don't give a damn. Irresponsible. claim not thinking. Papa said chill, but the brother keep winking. Still he won't down you would tear out your hide. On your side while the baby make a slide. But mama got wise to the game. The youngest of 5 kids, hun, here it is. After 10 years without no spouse, mama's getting married in the house. Listen, positive over negative, for the woman a master. Mother Queen's rise in the chapter. Deja vu, tell you what I'm gonna do when they reminisce over you, my God. When I date back, I recall a man off the family tree. My right hand, Papa Doc, I see. Took me from a boy to a man, so I always had a father. When my biological didn't bother taking care of this. So who am I to pick up? Not a bad ticker, but I'm clocking Pop's liver. But you can never say that his life is through. 5 kids at 21, believe he got a right to. Here we go while I check the scene with the Portuguese lover at the age of 14. The same age, front page, no fuss, but I bet you all you know they live longer than us. Never been seen now, that's where you're wrong. But give the man a taste and he's gone. Nodding off sleep to a jazz tune. I can hear his head banging on the wall in the next room. I get the pillow and hope I don't wake him. For this man to cuss, hear it all in verbatim. Telling me how to raise my boy unless he's taking over. I said, Pop, maybe when you're older. We laughed all night about the hookers at the party. My old man standing yelling, good God Almighty. Use your condom, take sips of the brew. When they reminisce over you, for real.
For real, baby. Like that. We for real. Yeah, come on.
I reminisce so you never forget this. The days are way back, so many bear witness the fitness. Take the first letter out of each word in this joint. Listen close as I prove my point. T to the R-O-Y, how did you and I meet in front of Big Lou's fighting in the street? But only you saw what took many time to see. I dedicate this to you for believing in me. Rain or shine, yes, in any weather. My grandma Pam holds the family together. My Uncle Doc's the greatest, better get the latest. If we're talking about a car, Uncle Sterling got the latest. I strive to be live cause I got no choice. And run my own business like my Aunt Joyce. So keep rock, hit me, enough respect to when they reminisce over you. Listen.
Just listen to the funky song as I rock on. And that word is born to the one and only. Never be another, he was my brother. Trouble T. Roy, it's like that, y'all. And it don't stop. Rocker still smooth from 92. And we out.
All right. Let me close this down. Welcome. I almost fell into it. Welcome, man. Hope everybody's had a very good week. We're here Friday, man. We were talking about let me kind of break down the itinerary for the night because it's kind of a mixed bag. A little KBK mixed in here tonight. Also, we'll be breaking down the divisional round games coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow, Saturday. You got 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We'll be talking about those. I'll be giving my picks, my thoughts and opinions, some other sports news, and something for, I don't know necessarily for the ladies, but it's in regards to women's sports. So I something that came across my desk, and I thought I'd bring it here to kind of discuss it and give my thoughts and opinions in this format. Let me give shouts out. How you doing, DMO? Eucalyptus, how you doing? Beautiful, what's going on? DMO, rumor is you're taking time off. Someone told me you're taking time off. Interesting. Interesting. But yeah, we here, man. We here. We'll see how the show go. We'll see how the show go. But yeah, let's kind of get into the NFL because that's the big thing on my plate this week. And we'll be talking a little basketball, update on the Jimmy Butler situation, and kind of my thoughts and opinions about the current state of the NBA. I'm trying to get into the season, man, but it's just not working. But anyway, let's get into what we came here to talk about, the world of sports and my other thoughts and opinions on stuff. Excuse me. All right, we got Saturday's games. The 2 number 1 seeds will be playing on Saturday. The first game we want to kind of break down and get into is the Chiefs at home taking on the Texas. Texas coming off a very big win this past week in the wild card round against the Chargers. Defense played phenomenal. Chiefs basically starters have been off for 2 weeks. That excuse me, they didn't play the last game of the season, first round bye. But we're here. Chiefs are at home. Chiefs has been a very resilient team. Now I have been kind of picking at them for you Chiefs fans. I've been picking at them because I've been waiting for this offense to kind of get in gear and show that next level that they are capable of hitting. It's just not happened this season. It's been a rough season. Even when you look at the stats overall for Patrick Mahomes, okay, but when you compare it to Patrick Mahomes standards, it's not okay. But offensively, this team has struggled to score points. I want to say this is the only one of the only winning team. I'll say this the only winning team that did not top 30 points during the course of the regular season. But they're at home. It's going to be cold in Kansas City. You have a Texans team who, despite winning last week, it's not inspired a lot of confidence, especially from me, with their level of play throughout the course of the season. But this is going to be kind of a toss-up kind of a game. I think this game is going to be dictated by which defense imposes their will. If you look at the Texans defense, even though the offense has been kind of up and down with injuries happening on that side of the ball, the defense, especially the second half of the season, has really kind of turned around. Derek Stingley, and that secondary has come to play. They've started to get a bit of a pass rush there. In Houston, they got talent, man. They've got talent. I think what people people like me have been kind of down on the Texans this year because they did not perform to expectations. Started out the season hot, was not able to kind of keep that momentum going. Had a very up and down season, but the playoffs, all it takes is one good game, And one thing we can say about Kansas City throughout the course of this year, even though they have won game after game after game after game, only real loss. I know they lost to Denver in the season finale, but no starters. They weren't really trying to win, just trying to stay healthy. I don't really count that L, but the only real L on their record was to Buffalo earlier this season. But Kansas City's week after week after week after week was finding a way to kind of get it done. But the defense has carried them throughout the course of the season. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be watching Kansas City's defense more so than anything because the defense has played well. The defense has played remarkable. They do have some guys nicked up on that side of the ball. And, this defense can be had. And one thing about Kansas City this season that has not been, for me, it wouldn't instill a lot of confidence in me. It's one thing to, play evenly with teams that you are evenly matched up against. The Buffaloes, the Baltimores, in those ilk of game. But Kansas City throughout the course of the season has played to the level of their competition. And a lot of times, the competition wasn't on their level, but they, allowed those games to stay close, allowed those games to, be a lot closer than it had to be. Kansas City, for lack of better terms, throughout the course of the season, we waited for them to have a performance where they put a team away, boxed them up and did what Kansas City traditionally done, especially since Patrick Mahomes become the starting quarterback. But the offense is not kind of, showing up. It's showing glimpses here and there, a drive or two, a half or two, but it's not been there. And you can attribute some of that to injuries on the offensive side of the ball. But, in games, like I would say, games you were playing against the Raiders, games you were playing against the Panthers, or, you was, clearly the more talented team. You didn't really put teams away. You didn't really get them up out of here early. And a lot of those games came down to last second play. And you were fortunate in a lot of those games. Kansas City Chiefs fans, I gotta ask you, how much longer can you live on the edge? I'm picking Kansas City to win this weekend simply because it's a home game. I think the 2 weeks off is going to do them well. Guys were able to rest. Some of those guys we talked about on the defensive side of the ball, namely Chris Jones, to get a little bit more healthy. And this team needed a rest. Listen, it is hard when you think about the run that Kansas City has been on since Patrick Mahomes has become, the starting quarterback. We're talking about a team that has consistently not only been in the playoffs, but has made deep runs to the playoffs. We're talking about multiple Super Bowl runs in the era of Patrick Mahomes. So this team, is constantly, is playing 20 to 21 games a year, depending on their record. This is a team that goes deep into the playoffs. Kansas City is going to be there for the foreseeable future as long as Andy Reid is the head coach, and as long as Patrick Mahomes is a starting quarterback, Kansas City is going to be in the mix for the playoffs. But it has been, especially this last 2 year stretch, you're a two-time defending champion, attempting to do something that no team has done in the Super Bowl era, and that is three-peat as champion. But I got, it's going to kind of keep it to this one. I got Kansas City winning this one. I think it's going to be a lot closer game than a lot of people may think, because the Texans defense has definitely come on in the second half, and CJ Stroud can make a play or two here. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Texans offense, due to some of the weapons being in and out of the lineup, namely Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins has had his injuries throughout this year. CJ Stroud to me has hit kind of a sophomore slump. If you judge it based off his rookie season, it's definitely a down year for him. And you're on the road. Kansas City is a hard place to play, especially when we're talking about weather conditions being, let's lack of better terms, shitty. It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold. It's going to be loud. I think that leads into Kansas City, leaning on that playoff experience, making the plays when they have to make it. But I think this game is going to be a lot closer. Hopefully, listen, I hope it's not a lot of blowouts this weekend like it was last weekend. But I got Kansas City taking care of business. So I think the defense comes up clutch, forces some turnovers on CJ Stroud, and take care of business at home. Give me just a second. I'm getting some water. The second half of Saturday, like I said, both number one seeds are playing. You had the Detroit Lions at home against the Washington Commanders, Cardiac Commanders, winning on the last second field goal last week. Detroit, number one seed, was off last week. Listen, Detroit is my Super Bowl pick. Detroit will remain my Super Bowl pick. I'm not switching off my picks. This late in the season, I got Baltimore and Detroit, playing in the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna stick with those. So you already kind of know where I'm going with, the games on Sunday. But this game, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you need to be very, 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 very concerned, because much is made about Jaden Daniels and his ability to make plays. This team has started to lean on him, and with the injuries that Detroit has on defense, has kind of forced the offense to play a near perfect level. And sometimes, especially this late into the season, guys get hurt, guys get nicked up, and you have a bad game. This game is, if I'm a Lions fan, when I look at the other half of the bracket, the Commanders scare me. If I'm a Lions fan, simply for the fact this team can score in bunches. Jaden Daniels is capable, and has proved it throughout this year that he is capable of carrying this team across the finish line. And Detroit, what's going on YouTube? Detroit has had to play near perfect, especially on the offensive side of the ball. When you look at the injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and for Detroit, even though they were off last week, those guys are not coming back. I want to say they got 12 guys on the IR on the defensive side of the ball alone. That's a lot of injuries, a lot of starters being out. They've have to lean on forcing turnovers, trying to hold teams to field goals, but the defense has not looked good over the last part of the season. But what you expect, the team was battling injuries. But this Washington game, listen, something about Washington. When they get into these games with some of these, I would say higher level teams, the Philadelphias, the Minnesotas, that ilk of teams that, you would, starting a rookie quarterback, you would pick against Washington. Jaden Daniels has rose to the occasion, especially in those games. And I think he's going to be ready for the occasion. And this one, I think, is going to be a higher scoring game than a lot of people give credit for. Washington is capable of putting up points in bunches. With Jaden Daniels being the dual threat that he is, McLaurin is due for a breakout game. He's been kind of silent in the last couple of weeks, but he's due for a breakout game. Listen, Washington kind of scares me. If I'm a Lions fan, you got to be kind of scared with this game here, because Detroit, number one seed, they're expected to win. No pressure on Washington at all. If Washington goes out there and gets blown out, all they're going to say is that's what they expected. The rookie luck ran out. This team is not that talented. It's not as talented as Detroit. And, you'd be right to say all that if they get blown out, because, a lot of that is true. Like I said, Washington has, no pressure. All the pressure is on Detroit to take care of business at home. The pressure is going to be on this offense to put up enough points to give this defense enough cushion to kind of sustain some blows. So Washington is going to be able to make some plays. Jaden Daniels is going to be able to make some plays. Your defense can't be hurt this much and expect to play lockdown defense come playoff time. That's Detroit has been kind of doing it with the smoke and mirrors, forcing a lot of turnovers. getting teams into field goals kind of situations. This team gives up yards and it can give up points. But like I said, I got Detroit in this one. I think it's going to be probably for me, probably the second best game of the weekend when I look at the schedule. Second best game for me. I think it's going to be a up and down affair. I think both teams cross 30. But I got more confidence in Detroit and that offense, especially when we're talking about David Montgomery is expected to be back in that lineup. So I had that two-headed monster back there with the Jamar Gibbs, and when they were healthy, you're talking about both guys were on pace to having about 1,200 yards apiece. With that dual attack, you have a healthy David Montgomery. I think Detroit, if they're smart, lean on the run game allow Gibbs and Montgomery to kind of carry the offense. And to kind of keep your defense off the field. I think that's kind of the approach you have to kind of take in this matchup to say, because you can definitely attack this Washington defense. This defense is not as good as the other teams that's remaining in the playoffs. But I think Detroit, recipe for winning, lean heavy on the run game. A lot of Gibbs, a lot of Montgomery. Let Goff make plays when he has to. But I think this is going to be a very, very good game. But I got Detroit in this one. I got Detroit taking care of business in this one. Moving on to the Sunday's games. And I know Eucalyptus, you're in here. We're going to start with your team first. You got the Eagles at home taking on the Rams. Listen, Eagles fans. Listen, Eagles fans. I'm gonna say this, and this is with all due respect. The performance you put out there last week, and winning in the wild card round, against a very good Packers team, you cannot come out here with that same kind of disjointed play against this Rams team. This Rams team is very underrated. If I'm not mistaken, they played you guys early in the season. Let me look at the schedule real quick. I'll go look at their schedule. I want to say they played early this year. Give me just a second. See the full schedule. I want to say they played y'all early this year, but I may be mistaken. Let's see. Yep, played y'all week 1. No, take that back. Played Detroit week 1. What did they play y'all? Yeah, they played y'all early this season. Philadelphia won that one. But this Rams team, we beat them. Okay, thanks, Eucalyptus. Love you some Rams. Listen, I like the Rams too. Especially that young defense got after it last week. Probably cost Sam Darnold a little piece of change. This coming off season, probably cost him a little piece of change this coming off season. Got after him, tied for the NFL record for sacks in the postseason game with 9. This defense can get after it. The question I always have with Philadelphia is, what approach are you going to take coming into this game? You really look at the game against Green Bay. Do you expect to force that many turnovers against the Rams team? And this Rams team is good. And they've gotten better as the season has gone on, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Am I going to pick an upset? No. I'm tempted. Listen, I'm tempted. Considering how well I know the Rams can play when they're clicking. And they seem to be clicking, especially coming down the stretch on the defensive side of the ball. Offense has been kind of iffy. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's been kind of iffy the last month of the season. Philadelphia, do you lean on the fact that you got Saquon? I think you stick with the formula. If you're smart, you stick with the formula that has worked and brought you to this point this season. If you're smart, it's a lot of Saquon. But I don't know with this Rams defense, because those guys get after it. You got a lot of young guys, especially along that defensive line, and with that pass rush, they got some talent on that side of the ball. You played them earlier this season, took care of business, rematch. A part of me wants to pick Rams. Listen, it's not even Philly hate. A part of me wants to pick Rams because I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't impressed by the Eagles' performance last week. I wasn't impressed by the Eagles' performance last week. Saquon had a ho hum game. Jordan Love, I think, was more reckless with the ball than actually Philly forcing the turnovers. I think he was more reckless with the ball when you watch the game. And 22 points. When you're talking about playing a team, yeah, you're young on the defensive side of the ball, but you have Matthew Stafford, who does have a ring. You have a Super Bowl winning coach, and you got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. I'm a go. See, my analytical mind is telling me Eagles at home. But I've liked the Rams, especially the last 2 years. And you guys know, if you've been listening to the show, that's been one of my sleeper teams, especially in the NFC. And when I get on the team early, kind of like Detroit, it kind of turns. Is it time for the Rams to take that next step? So where we're not talking about them being the sleeper team, moving into that conversation and possibly being a tier one. I don't know. I do not. This is kind of, for me, this is kind of like the toss-up game of the weekend. Like, you want to go with the home team. The Eagles play well at home. You're talking about the weather conditions possibly being a little bad in the Philly area. A dome team coming up, but this is a team that has Super Bowl pedigree, and the defense gets. Just listen. You're talking about Jared Verse, Brian Young, Brandon Fisk. I mean, it's a lot of Bryant Young, the other Young. It's a lot of talent, especially on the defensive side, especially that front seven. I got Rams in this one. I got Rams in this. For whatever reason, I just feel more encouraged by how they played last week, and that's kind of like what I'm basing it on. And when you look at Philadelphia, I think the Rams played a more complete game last week than Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, looked like he looked healthy. But I'm curious to see, is he going to be put into a position where he has to kind of chuck the ball up and put up a lot of throws and a lot of yards in this game? Because I think this defense is going to really put a focus on getting after Saquon Barkley and putting the ball in Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is certainly capable of beating anybody in this league. But the track record this season has been Saquon first, Saquon second, and Saquon third, sprinkle in a little AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. And that has been a recipe for success. If they're able to maintain that, if Saquon gets it going, it could be a long day for the Rams team. But I got Rams. I got Rams in this one. I just feel a little bit more confident about the Rams coming into this game. That's kind of where I'm at with. I'm just basing it off the last game. I saw these teams play, and Philadelphia just looked like a okay team. This looked like an okay team. As long as the O-line holds up, we'll be fine. That's the question, Eucalyptus. That's the question, because if that O-line doesn't hold up, doesn't create those running lanes for Saquon, if you're expecting Jalen Hurts to sit back there 35, 40 and thinking that's the recipe for success against that pass rush, could be a long day for Philly. Could be, but I got Rams in this one. Got Rams in this one. It's no Eagles hate. It's no Eagles hate. I just like what I saw for the Rams last week. Taking care of Minnesota in the fashion that they did. Very dominant performance by them. Speaking of dominant performance, probably the game of the weekend, probably the most anticipated game of the weekend. You saw the thumbnail. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Winner goes to the AFC Championship game. You're talking about the two guys who are leading in the clubhouse, whether you are with Lamar or Josh Allen, two guys who are leading in the clubhouse for the MVP of this season. And both teams look good last week. You're talking about the Bills taking care of business against the Broncos, kind of enforced their will on them, especially in the second half of the game. And you're talking about Baltimore taking care of a team that they have traditionally struggled with at different points of the Lamar Jackson area. Talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. This has the writing to be, like I said, be the game of the week. Definitely for me, the most anticipated game to see both of those guys. You're talking about the two leading rushers all time in playoff yardage. This is big time. This is big time. You can't really say anything else about it. Will Derrick Henry be able to impose his will? I think for me, if I'm Baltimore, Derrick Henry is the X factor. I kind of know what I'm getting from Lamar. I don't think Lamar is going to put up 300 yards and rush for 100, but I think when you look at um, this matchup, if you're talking about this team both these teams met early in the season. Buffalo lost 35-10, probably their worst loss of the season, but that's early in the season before Buffalo kind of figured out what kind of team they want to be. But I think for me, Derrick Henry is the guy to watch. Derrick Henry is definitely the guy to watch in this matchup with Buffalo. I think if he gets it going, he gets having those Derrick Henry type runs where he's punishing them for 7-8 yards a carry, could be a long day for Buffalo. Could be a long day for Buffalo, but I think Buffalo is definitely talented enough to overcome a great performance by Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I think Buffalo is that good of a team. You can make the argument that Buffalo is probably the best team in the AFC. You can make that argument, especially considering they was the only team to really put a true loss on the Kansas City Chiefs. But you go back to Week 1, Baltimore. You're talking about an inch or two of a toe, and Baltimore can have that same claim of having a victory over Kansas City. Like, for me, I think these are the two best teams right now playing right now in the AFC. This is Buffalo's going to be at home. I'm not sure what the weather is going to look like up there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be trash. Give me just a second. Pretty sure it's going to be trash. Yeah, this will make me feel better. I got my team. I'm rolling with Baltimore, but I think this is going to be this is highly anticipated, and I think it's going to be a much better game than people may think. Some people I've heard said that this game is going to be kind of blah and all of that kind of stuff. But I think both teams are going to put on a great performance, and I think outside of this football game, when we're talking about the MVP race, I think voters, if they haven't already voted, I'm not sure how that process works, but I think voters are going to be looking at this like, winner of this game gets my vote. I got Baltimore in this one. I think Derrick Henry for me is going to be the X factor. If he gets it going, that opens up the passing game, opens up the QB option, the read option game for Baltimore. And I think Baltimore, if they're able to kind of get it going, get a lead early, and Derrick Henry is doing Derrick Henry things, it's going to be a long day for Buffalo. It's going to be a long day for both of these teams. Have definitely changed since they met early in the season. You can take something from that if you're a Baltimore fan. You can take nothing from that if you're a Buffalo fan. But I think for me right now, it's going to be the game of the week. It's going to be game of the week, definitely for me. And I got Baltimore taking care of business. I think it's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to meet expectations. I'm looking forward to this one. What's going on, Spot? So I got Baltimore. I got Baltimore taking care of business on the road against Buffalo's a very good football team. And I got to stick with Baltimore because that's my Super Bowl pick. But if Buffalo goes in there and take care of business, don't color me shocked. Buffalo has a very good team. Josh Allen has played fantastic this season. Very clean with the ball this year. It wasn't taking a lot of risks, doing a lot of turnovers, and that's the reason why he's in the MVP conversation. But Lamar Jackson has played at a even higher level than he did last year when he won an MVP. And Derrick, like I said, for me, Derrick Henry is the X factor. If he gets it going, it's a long day for Buffalo. It's a long day for Buffalo. And see you in a minute. What's going on, man?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What's going on?
I just had a quick question.
All right, what's up?
How about that?
Come on, man. Are we are we doing this? Listen, I was going to wait. We are a complete fucking mess right now. It's been reported for those who don't know. It's been reported that Kellen Moore, and this is the only one they've confirmed. Kellen Moore has been interviewed for the head coaching job. Like, come on, Jerry.
Damn.
He's been interviewed.
That's taking real low to get him.
This is a guy who was OC coordinator for the team. Listen, and then like the other guy that they claim they interviewed for the position, Robert Sala. I mean, I think he's an okay coach. But I think he's more coordinator material than head coach. Because if you struggle with the power dynamic with the Jets, with the player, you're not going to have any power in Dallas, and that's like the biggest thing. Like, oh Jesus, I'm Kellen Moore, and it's looking like you've heard Jason Witten name being bounced. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
But
Like,
what about? I've heard Dion is also in the mix. So what's your thoughts on that?
I don't see if out of the group of guys I've named, I would take Dion over them. Um, just for the simple fact, no matter what you think about him, he walks in with immediate respect of the locker room. I mean, because that's prime. If and a lot of guys like you grew up watching them. You grew up watching him, had his jersey, and you watch what he's done with Colorado. Turning that program around. I think Dion walks in. He has the respect of the locker room as far as players. Him understanding what they're going through. I don't know if Jerry's really willing to give over, that role to Dion. Where we're talking about where the head coach is, the head of the franchise. Because if Dion is the head coach, he's going to be the go-to, and I don't think Jerry is going to be I don't think he's going to like that. He hasn't liked that since he got rid of Jimmy Johnson. I mean, if he
that's a good point as you bring it up, because I can't think of any sign that guy was fucking crazy than when he got rid of a guy right after he won back-to-back Super Bowl.
Yeah. You can
if that doesn't say mental illness, I don't know what does.
I don't even know if it's mental illness. I think it's Jerry's, and then here's the problem with Jerry. I like him. He's a very personable guy, but you seem to think that you're the biggest star in Dallas. And as an owner, you should be hey, I'm cutting the checks. I'm not really into the day-to-day operations. Like, you're talking about the owner who's also the GM. Like, I think you bringing in a Kellen Moore. What's the difference between bringing in Kellen Moore and bringing back Jason Garrett? Nothing.
Damn. Wow,
Nothing.
don't do Kellen Moore like that now.
No, I mean, I think Dallas is and Troy Aikman said it on a recent said it recently. Dallas' job is not as people don't want that job as much as you think, because you have to deal with what Jerry brings. Like, Dallas is, when you look at the ability to attract free agents there, guys, whether they want to some guys grew up wanting to have a star on their helmet, but nobody wants to deal with that as a head coach. Like, for a guy to think he's bigger than you, and you can't push back on him. And he's not hiring guys that push back. He hires people that I'm comfortable with, guys that I gave Jason Garrett a shot. Kellen Moore was my offensive coordinator, got rid of his ass, but I'll bring him back because it's not going to be any question of how the power structure is in Dallas. Like, when you look at other winning organizations, you don't see the Hunt family cutting interviews in Kansas City. You don't see the Rooney family cutting interviews in Pittsburgh. Teams that traditionally have good sound structure throughout the organization. The owner is damn near non-existent. You don't see it until it's trophy time.
Yeah, because those owners actually know how to play the background. Jerry, for some reason, has a problem with that.
I think Jerry, his jealousy of Jimmy Johnson. Like, yes, it was you're the owner, but we all know those was Jimmy guys. Jimmy put that team together. Jimmy won those Super Bowls, and his ego. We're talking about over 30 plus years, your ego has cost this team time and time and time and time. Like you're the owner. What owner is out there talking about we're gonna go all in and don't spend shit in the off season? Like who, what owner is even making those kind of stuff? That stuff comes from the GM, but guess what? You're the GM too. You can't even set. It's no separation. You're involved in everything. You're involved in who gets drafted, who gets contracts. You're way too involved. And if you hire Kellen Moore, it's gonna be more. It's gonna be more the same. You might as well have kept Mike McCarthy if he's gonna bring in Kellen Moore. It's not like Kellen Moore is gonna have a voice. Guys, listen, guys are not gonna respect him like that. You know, you're one of Jerry's guys.
Yeah. And the only person alive that I think can save the Cowboys is the guy that took the job at UNC. Unfortunately, he was your best shot.
Well, I don't. Well, let's really break down Belichick's post Brady. Is was he really doing a fantastic job coaching that team? Once Brady left, I mean, he kind of like in the same boat with Jerry. Like you're responsible for the draft. You was bringing these guys in and the culture and all. Listen, you got to have a winning culture. But you got to have people that buy into that culture. Tom Brady leaves the Patriots. Patriots go down the toilet, and you can't blame nobody but Bill because you brought all these guys here. You drafted all these guys. You was a guy, telling we're going to give you a contract or not. Like you left a mess up there in New England. They're still fixing since Tom Brady left. Honestly, if Deion will probably be the best choice just for the simple fact his star outshines Jerry. And that'd be the only, him like Deion saying something in the press would hold more weight than anything Jerry would say in the press.
I don't know. I don't think Deion has that patience to deal with Jerry anymore.
Well, I don't think Deion really wants to. Like I said, Dallas is such a fucked up situation.
And plus, he has it all cushy up there in Boulder. Why would he leave such a good situation where they're damn near worshiping him every step he takes? Then he goes over there where he's like low key the servant to Jerry.
But I think, but see, that's what makes Deion unique when you think about of all the guys he could possibly bring in right now that are kind of like available. Even like if let's say Ryan O'Day, Ohio State coach, he wins a national championship and Jerry tries to bring him in, he's still gonna be like, well, your star's still lower than mine. Jerry, could have really brought in Harbaugh last year, but Jerry likes to be the star. And I think when you look at the guys that are available, Deion has a press conference, it's going to draw more attention than anything Jerry says. Like Mike McCarthy, listen, for Cowboys fans that know, Mike McCarthy, post game, and he had like a little show he was doing on like Tuesdays that they would stream on like Twitter. Nobody shows up for that shit because we know Jerry is the one really calling the shots. I'm just listen. I got a feeling Kellen Moore is going to get the job. I think it's better candidates out there, but I don't think people are rushing to get the job, and that's sad because we're talking about head coaching jobs, and it's only 32 of them in the world. Only 32 of them, but nobody's really. I'll be looking at Detroit's offensive coordinator, trying to interview him before I interview Kellen Moore. Why would you interview Kellen Moore? Because Philly had a decent offensive season. Detroit had a better one. Why are you not interviewing that
Aaron
guy?
Glenn?
No, Aaron Glenn's the defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator up there. I would look at him, a former Cowboy, a former player, has done a fantastic job when you look at what Detroit has had to deal with as far as injuries. But I look at talking about Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Detroit, the highest scoring offense in the league this year. And he's not at the top of your list. I'm gonna bring in Kellen Moore because I know Kellen Moore is my boy. He grew up around me. I kept him on roster for years as a backup. What's the difference between Kellen Moore and Jason Garrett? Not a goddamn thing. Nothing.
Interesting.
Both are homegrown. Both have we know Jerry, and we're able to talk to Jerry and deal with him on a real first name. He treats us like sons. That's why Jason Garrett stayed around as long as he did. Like, you grew up in that organization. You was a backup forever. Um, Same with Kellen Moore. You was a backup forever. You know, I don't like it, man. I don't like it.
So this leads to my next question. So, what are your thoughts on who out this remaining field can make it to the Super Bowl to knock off the Chiefs? Because we already know that the script has been written for them to go. So, who from
Baltimore's my pick. I think whoever wins Baltimore Buffalo game ultimately ends up in the Super Bowl for the AFC.
really?
Yeah, I think the winner
So
of
you
that
think-
game.
So
Yeah,
you think the script writers are going to be overridden by the games?
yeah.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
think when you look at how this season has kind of progressed, even though Kansas City has the number one seed, they haven't felt like a number one seed all year. They play to the level of their competition. A lot of games they should be blowing teams out. They haven't played like that, and it's been like that. You know, they haven't scored 30 points in a game all year. All year.
But
I-
at the end of the day, you do know that if you win the Super Bowl 2-0, that's still a win, right?
Yeah, I hear you, but is do you look at Kansas City? Does anybody look at Kansas City's defense as being like the 2000 Ravens? No. They
No.
have a very good defense, but nobody looks at them like the 85 Bears. Nobody's looking at Kansas City's defense like that. They're like, yo, that's a good defense. But they can be had. Buffalo proved it earlier this year. You can't. A lot of teams have been in, been able to kind of put up points, against Kansas City, but they just I think Kansas City has benefited from being a smart football team. They don't really beat themselves. They don't. I mean, they don't really beat themselves. Other than the stretch earlier this year, where Mahomes was, had a lot of turnovers. This is not a team that really beats themselves, and not really a heavily penalized team. But I think when I look at the remainder teams in the AFC, whoever wins Buffalo, Baltimore, I think either one of those teams can go on the road and beat Kansas City.
Interesting. Well, I still think it will be the Chiefs versus the Lions, and then the Chiefs will squeak it out in overtime, 17-14.
Are you calling it Chiefs?
Yeah.
Lions, your pick. Okay, I got you. Listen, if it comes down to I swear to God, if it comes down to it, I might have to believe in this shit is scripted. I might have to buy into the conspiracy.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tap on out, bro. My work here is done. Peace out. Have a great rest of your night.
Hey man, you too, man. Appreciate it. All right, that was a good brother spot. I'm coming up always with the Cowboys jabs as he comes in. Always with the Cowboy jab. Very much appreciate it. Let's go ahead and kind of move on. Like I said, we're gonna be talking about some other stuff in sports. We'll be giving an update on the Jimmy Butler situation, my thoughts and opinions on that. But it is something that kind of came across my desk. I didn't realize was going on in regards to women's college basketball. For those that know. When we talk about NIL and money in college sports a lot on this show, I was always under the impression, in regards to women athletics, especially women's college basketball, that they were getting kind of paid for like making postseason tournaments and stuff like this, stuff that has been going on for men and on the men's side for a long time. Come to find out, it wasn't going on at all, but that is set to change. Let me kind of pull this up real quick. Fair use and all of that good stuff. But hey, check this out.
Now to a major development in college sports. The women's teams will now be paid in the March Madness tournament, just like the men. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, a big win for women's college basketball.
Yes.
After years of discussion, the NCAA has unanimously decided to pay women's teams in the March Madness tournament, just like men's teams have been paid for years.
Finally, for the first time ever, the women's tournament is going to start to reap some of the financial rewards that it has deserved for a long time, but has never been allowed to have.
In 2021, video of the women's basketball weight room during the Division I playoffs compared to the men's sparked a debate over disparity. Since then, women's basketball has exploded in popularity. The women's NCAA tournament last year was its most successful ever, with the title game bringing in a record audience of nearly 19 million viewers, about 4 million more than the men's title game.
The sexism was there, and it was truly unfair for our female athletes compared to our male athletes.
Payments will be in effect for the upcoming tournament. Participating schools will share in the revenue, with winning teams receiving more money. The pot will begin at $15 million this year and will progressively grow. Next year, up to $20 million. Still not as much as the men, but analysts say it's a step in the right direction.
It's all come together now at a key moment, a real watershed moment for women's sports, because as basketball goes, often so goes the rest of women's sports.
Just like the men, the money women's conferences will earn will be invested back into the schools and its programs and not go directly to the players.
All right, we'll come back over here. Right, this back up. Yeah, I was shocked, especially when we're talking about women's college basketball, which has kind of like this, she was saying exploded over the last couple of years, but women's college basketball, to a basketball fan, has been strong since the 90s. And to think that all these years, they were playing and wasn't getting none of that TV money from those TV deals in regards to the tournament. Making a tournament is a big thing, and you're talking about viewers and all of that kind of stuff being involved. And the men have been getting paid, for years, for decades, and the women are just now. And I'm gonna say this: I'm glad that these women's programs are getting a part of the pie. Getting their just due, getting what they've earned and deserved. When we're talking about getting some of that TV money that's been floating out there, but 15 when you're talking about 15 million split up amongst 68 teams in universities, it's not a whole lot. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not a whole lot. I think it's really it's a slap in the face that you wasn't paying the women, especially with college basketball, women's college basketball being strong. Like I said, strong since the 90s. You're talking about the era of Tennessee. You're talking about the era of UConn dominance, even in the recent era of South Carolina, LSU's. Through all of these, TV ratings have steady been good for women's college basketball. It got better during the Caitlin Clark era, that phenom and all of that kind of stuff. But women's college basketball has always been strong. It's strong on TV. It's always been strong, especially during the tournament time. For them to not get paid, those universities to not get paid, and further lets me know that, hey man, the NIL get paid, players get paid, because even them saying, oh yeah, we're going to give you $15 million. When you look at the numbers and really break that down, 15, let me do the math real quick. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things when you're talking about what they get as far as the TV money is concerned. Let me clear that out. 15 divided by 68. Really $220,000 per team. And the thing about it with the deal, that the news report didn't go into. Another thing about the deal is it's progressive depending on how far into the tournament you get. So you're just making the tournament. You're not guaranteed that large sum of money. You're really not guaranteed. Yes, you're going to get something, but it's not even going to be that. You're talking about $220,000 if they was going to split it evenly, no matter what. But the further you go into the tournament, the deeper you go into the tournament, something beats nothing. Eucalyptus. I hear you. And I feel you on that. I mean, to think that, you know, that's where you're starting out at. I just, you know, I get the disparity and all of that. That is part of the American experience and the American culture. But for women, especially college basketball, like it has been, if you know, right up there with the men, especially, you know, with the one and done, you know, kind of, you know, taking some of the luster off the men's college game. And you look at, you know, the UConns and the Tennessees bringing it to the era to listen. I feel you got to start somewhere, but that's, you're talking about, we make the tournament, the university gets 50, like, you know, I want to say like the math was like, if you make the tournament and you lose, you might get like 75,000 or something. Like it was like some crazy like low ball number that is spread out over, you know, we're gonna use this for scholarships and like in the grand scheme of things. And like I think the NCAA is you know, is the pimp association of the world. Is the pimp associate. Like I found this out about NIL deals while doing some research on that. I didn't know that agencies that are doing the NIL, like agents that are working directly with quote unquote NIL super PACs to get these players their money, they're getting like 20 to 30% of the cut that the players are getting. Whereas if they were, you know, let's say in the NFL, those agents don't get that big of a cut of the money. At the most 10%. NCAA is I mean, 15 million sounds nice, but when you really break down the numbers and you really break down, you know, what each team is getting at the end of the day, I mean, 15 million is chump change. You made more than that, more than 15 million last year on your championship game with the ratings that you had. You made more money than that. I want to say women's tournament last year, I want to say I read it was like $845 million they brought in with the TV rights deals that they have. 845 million through the NCAA, and we're going to start paying. And you're not even paying the players, paying the university. We're going to start giving them. They're going to have to split $15 million. Like this, that's NCAA. I mean, for me, man, NCAA as a governing body in regards to sports is the biggest transgressor of players and pimping out the system that I have ever seen. Say what you want to say about the NBA, and we'll talk about them in just a second. Say what you want to say about the NFL or any other league or a governing body of a league. NCAA is the biggest pimp that I of all of them. Is the worst transgressor. You don't want to you negotiate billions of dollars worth of TV rights deals to broadcast your sports. That's with the national people. That's not even talking about your local Big Ten network, Pac-12. Well, what was it? What used to be Pac-10. You know, Big 12 network, the SEC network. That's separate from what they get from the ABCs, the NBCs, and all of that, the ESPNs. You guys have been getting billions of dollars. Billions. You didn't want to pay players. Players are now getting NIL money. When you look at the deal, Carson Beck, former quarterback of Georgia, got to go to Miami. I think he's walking in making $4 million this year. Listen, I'm all players pimp them, get them for every goddamn cent they got. Because when you look at women's college basketball last year with the TV rights deals, brought in about $845 million last year. And, you know, we're going to pay the women now 15, and you stay in the game. Another large chunk of money with the TV money from the upcoming women's tournament. Come on, man. Come on. The NCAA need to be investigated for some of these practices, man. Because listen, I agree with you. You got to start somewhere, but I mean, really? It's not like, yo, we're going to break off every school that makes the tournament is going to get $500,000 towards scholarships and improving campus life and all. Like, you're not even guaranteed that. Like, they're going to have to split 15, and everybody's not going to get the same share of the money. Like, crazy to me. Speaking of crazy, before we kind of get up out of here, let me close this. Update on the Jimmy Butler situation. Those who have been kind of following Jimmy Butler, returned back from suspension tonight, back in the starting lineup. It was reported earlier this week, during his suspension, he had a meeting with the Pat Riley, who is team president of the Miami Heat, and pretty much told him he's standing on business. He'll play, because him not playing costs him money that he's not going to be able to recruit by sitting out, forcing himself to sit out. But it said he still wants to be traded from Miami. Miami is still pretty much trying to treat Jimmy Butler like everybody doesn't know he doesn't want to be there, like he's a tradable, like his trade value goes down by the day. I think at this point, Miami, get what you can for Jimmy Butler, because you're not going to get what you want from Jimmy Butler. Because I would be damned if I give you some good quality players. I'll be damned if I give you some high value draft picks for Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler right now is tainted goods, and I think Jimmy Butler is definitely a player that can contribute to any team, especially a team that's looking to get over the hump in the playoffs. But why would I give up as the general manager? Why would I give you, matching you dollar on a dollar for Jimmy Butler for one, knowing I got to give this guy an extension, which is not guaranteed when you trade for Jimmy Butler. Good night. Oh, appreciate it, YouTube. I know you had a very busy day. You've had a very busy day. I peeked in for a little bit, too much for me. But appreciate you coming through as always. But you look at Jimmy Butler, like I said, tainted goods, man. Tainted goods. If I'm Miami, get what you can for Jimmy before the All-Star break. You're not going to get what you want for Jimmy Butler, because no team is going to give you anything of real serious value for Jimmy Butler, especially with him having a player option on his contract. So he can opt out and become a free agent next year. So that team loses those assets. How LeBron has been seriously talking about. Has LeBron been seriously talking about leaving the Lakers? Eucalyptus. I want to say he's talked about leaving the Lakers. It's a story that kind of came out. A guy, I can't call him a guy, Maverick Carter, one of LeBron's closest associates, has been working with investors to possibly start up a international league. I think the current plan is they want to start an international league with 6 men's teams, 6 women teams, and kind of I wouldn't necessarily say really compete with the NBA, because I don't think it's feasible to compete with the NBA. But that is in Maverick Carter, somebody who is in LeBron's inner circle, very close in his inner circle. Maverick Carter is the guy who does a lot of his business deals outside of the world of NBA. You have Rich Paul, who kind of handles the basketball side of things, and you have Maverick Carter, who handles like the entertainment side, movie deals and stuff like that for him. I mean, I don't have a problem with teams or people getting together and creating leagues to compete, with the, I wouldn't say necessarily compete, I wouldn't call it a competition, but to provide an alternative for the NBA. When you look at what the Big Three does, bringing in former players, guys that and play their style of ball. But we're talking about guys, Maverick Carter being a part of that, talking about $5 billion possibly being put into that. And LeBron has made it very clear, once he steps away from the game, he wants to be taken, have a serious consideration for being a owner. I don't think LeBron's going to be content with becoming like a minority, or I think he's looking at, I want to be the principal owner of a team. And I'm curious to see what it looks like. But as far as him leaving the Lakers, Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening for the foreseeable future. Especially when he has a no trade, so it's not like they can move him any goddamn way. I think he's pretty much settled in. May or may not be his last season. We'll see. We'll see if he gets to that point where he's feeling like that. But yeah, that's kind of like what's been going on with around LeBron, as far as I know, with him. The Maverick Carter situation. I don't feel like the NBA feels threatened by that in the least bit. If it's something like you're talking about 6 teams, unless he's able to kind of get those investors, and we're talking about guys making NBA players make way too much money to even be thinking about playing overseas. It might be more competition for the WNBA side than more so the NBA side. Typically internationally, the women make more money playing international ball anyway. So if you have an international league that is offering, way better contracts than the WNBA, that might be a problem for them on that end. But I don't think the NBA has to worry about any serious competition, especially on the international level. I don't see it. I don't see it. Speaking of, I don't see it. Before we kind of get up out of here, what did I do with that story? Give me just a second. I'm gonna slide something in here before my the executive producer says something, because she hates when I deviate. Give me just a second. Okay, I saw something, and it's something that I used to kind of keep following. Give me just a second. Let me put some of the. Yeah, they put this up. I found it's something else that happened earlier, non sports related. I thought was interesting. Considering that January 20th is around the corner, inauguration is happening, that kind of stuff. Give me a second. Let me kind of get it together here.
Operations begin. Some migrants are already.
Okay, yeah, we about ready. I found this story to be kind of interesting. Saw this clip kind of floating around on social media. Bring this over here. Take that down. And you get the whole screen. Saw this clip on News Nation floating around on social media, and I thought this was very interesting considering what you got going on. It's a lot of change happened this weekend. I'll talk about TikTok before we get up out of here too, for you TikTok users. But check this out.
Trump has promised to carry out the largest deportation operation in U.S. history. And before those operations begin, some migrants are already choosing to leave the country voluntarily. News Nation's Jorge Ventura joins us live from San Antonio, Texas this morning with more on this story. Jorge, how many migrants are we actually seeing doing this, leaving voluntarily?
Right now, Marky, it's unclear, but we are starting to see a trend, and this comes as cities across the U.S. and Mexico are now bracing for President-elect's deportation operation. But his hardline messaging on those deportation efforts have some migrants panicking and some even choosing now to self-deport back to their home countries. I spoke with immigration attorney Rolando Vasquez, who tells me that some of the immigrants that he represents that entered under the Biden administration are now choosing to return home, fearing deportation under the incoming administration.
Just as recent as yesterday, they notified me that they're going to depart the country voluntarily, and understanding that, the Trump administration is going to carry through on their promises.
And it's not just Trump's deportation plans that are influenced these decisions. Vasquez says it's also that Mexico is now open to accepting non-Mexican deportees. Mexico's move would impact Cuban and Venezuelan migrants the most, since those countries typically do not accept deportation flights from the U.S., but may from Mexico.
This is causing for many migrants to leave on their own, knowing that they're either going to be deported to their home country or be deported to Mexico. And they obviously, the overwhelming majority of them do not want to be in Mexico.
And my sources in Mexico tell me that it's likely that cartels and smugglers will exploit, kidnap, and extort those newly deported migrants. As of right now, it's unclear if Mexico has a plan to protect those deported migrants, Marky.
Yeah, borders about to change on Monday. At least that's what voters were promised. Jorge Ventura, thank you so much. Live from San Antonio.
All right, let me come back over here. Yeah, something off the beaten path, y'all. Y'all know me. Something off the beaten path. Self-deportation. Not to say that I'm surprised. Not to say that I'm surprised that some have to kind of taking those steps. Because when you had to eucalyptus, when you think about the rhetoric that was used a lot on the campaign trail this past political cycle, and the border being one of the main issue, if not the main issue, presented, especially by the Republican Party. I'm not surprised that they're self-deporting back to their countries. I'm really not. When you have the hardline messages being put out by the Trump administration is even after the election concluded, they've kept up, the rhetoric. We're going to be doing this day one. We get these folks up out of here. I'm kind of torn on this. I get, it could be dangerous for them going back down through Mexico. And, as you heard in the report, the cartels and that kind of stuff getting involved and kidnapping and all of that kind of stuff. But I mean, when you look at, the strain on resources in a lot of the quote unquote sanctuary cities across America that had to, carry, how you doing, Josephine? They had to kind of carry the burden for the migrant rise in America, especially during the Biden era. You got some people that, that may not, be, hardcore Republicans, but yeah, go ahead, get them up out of here because you're stressing an already stressed system. And I fear for the children. Yeah. It's I mean, just leaving the country and traveling the trek today is dangerous. Now you're talking about we're gonna try to make that trip back. And Mexico for a long time was like, no, if they make it across the border, we're not taking them back and helping them get back over here. But listen, deportation, I'm not surprised in the least bit. When they've had to listen, especially over the past year, about how the border was a central part of both campaigns and what they were going to do for the border. And Trump was pretty much like, yeah, day one, we getting them up out of here. January 20th is right around the corner. Inauguration is right around the corner. I'm not surprised that some of them have kind of taken this approach. I'm not sure how well thought out their plan of action is. To wait until the guy damn near gets in office to start making his move. I don't know. That fear is a crazy thing, and fear has been weaponized, especially in American politics, time and time again. And maybe they're subjecting not subjected, but succumb to the fear of people, in their mind, when you say, we're going to get the migrants out of here, we're going to wrangle them up. And, I don't know what kind of image you would have in your head if you thought someone was coming to take you from the place that you've established as your home. But at the same time, you kind of know it was coming because, that's what you had to be hearing it. But anyway, that's a kind of a story I'm gonna keep tabs on for myself. See what kind of comes out of that. January 20th it's a lot of stuff that's supposed to go down. Like I said, inauguration, President-elect Trump gets sworn in. It's also been reported, Snoop Dogg has received a lot of flack. He's supposed to be performing at some kind of a Republican event, for Trump, before the inauguration on Monday. And people are upset with him for doing it. Well, I mean, why are y'all upset? Why? That's what celebrities do. Celebrities go with the flow. They go, they can be stone cold Democrats, but I mean, if you look at Trump before he got into the political theater, he used to be a staunch supporter of the Democratic Party. It's all the same. It's all the same, man. Same bird, different feathers. It's the same thing. So I'm not upset with Snoop for, I'm pretty sure he's getting paid handsome. I'm not upset. This is what celebrities do. You go with the flow. You go for a lot of them. They go with the flow. Like, yeah, we may not believe in this what your ideals are, but we gonna rock with you. We gonna dip into our part. Whatever. Um, Last thing before we kind of get up out of here tonight, man. Appreciate everybody taking the time out to listen to little old me. TikTok. Me and the missus had a discussion about TikTok. She's I'm not going to say upset, but it's like, what are we going to do? TikTok is the ban has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So TikTok has released a statement pretty much saying on the 19th, which I believe is Sunday, dropping down, getting ready for this night shift. Appreciate it, brother. TikTok is going the way they're going dark. What people don't know what going dark means, it doesn't mean you still can't use TikTok after the fact, but you got to go through some lengths and to kind of to still use it. And when they say that it's going dark, they're not going to still be working on fixing any glitches or updates to it. So whatever you have, if you don't have TikTok now, download it. It's been reported that Google and Apple are pretty much leaning towards, and they haven't come out and said yay or nay, but they're leaning towards taking it off of their stores. Like, you can still use TikTok, but you like I said, you got to go to lengths to kind of do it. One of the ways I heard you can still do it. You just got to get you a VPN, assign yourself to another country, and you can still do TikTok. I didn't realize that many people's on TikTok, and a lot of people. You're talking about 170 million Americans. That's just Americans alone that are on TikTok. And TikTok has become a way of people making money, selling products, and that kind of stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I don't listen. I don't use TikTok. I have no dog in the fight, but you'll find another social media app. It's already been some advertised out there to kind of be TikTok-ish. I guess it's already some apps out there designed to kind of replace TikTok and whatever. But I don't see what the big fuss. I mean, it's an app. If this is your means of making money, I understand. I sympathize with you, but at the end of the day, it's a social media app, a video sharing social media app that people have, has grown and used it to make money and that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Like I said, it goes dark on the 19th. Like I said, you can still use it, but you got to jump through some hoops to use the shit. And I'm not sure, how many people are aware of that. I think a lot of people are under the assumption that, on the 19th, when the ban goes into effect, TikTok is over. The app is shut down. Like, no, you can still use it. Will folks' data be secure? That's the big thing about it. Like, when the Congress and the administration pressed them on it, it's like, look, just sell this. You just sell your company. We don't have a problem with the TikTok, but it's the fact that I want to say data source, something like that. Some Chinese company, pretty much owns TikTok as far as like having the service and that kind of stuff. But in China, the government can request anything from a Chinese backed company, from a Chinese owned company. So they can request anything, any kind of information. That's kind of like the national security scare that people were dealing with as far as like the administration with TikTok. Like, I don't. He's not going to enact the ban. Biden has been kind of like, and this is why TikTok saying, if they don't hear anything clear by the 19th, they're going dark, because the Supreme Court made their decision Friday. Earlier today, the Supreme Court upheld the ruling in regards to TikTok. You've heard reports that Biden's like, I'm gonna kick it to kick it over to Trump, because he takes over on the 20th. Trump has been kind of like not really committed, or like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I can to keep TikTok around. Like he's been kind of like bandying an idea, like kind of playing the middle on it. It's possible that he gets in office and does a kind of gives them a temporary extension of 90 days, but TikTok is pretty much still in the same boat, where they have to, if you want to continue to operate here in America freely, you got to sell your company. Like it's it's kind of weird. Even with if Trump gets in and the ban, like I said, begins Sunday, like you can still use TikTok, but you got to jump through hoops to use it. It's not, but then, if you're not using it, it's not like TikTok is going to get any more new users, because, it'll go dark. Apple and Google are, more or less going to take it off the Play Store or the store. So you can't download it. I mean, it's just, it's a messy situation that, TikTok, they kind of find themselves in. Like, even if, Trump gives you, the 90-day extension, it's going to be under the auspice of you, in the middle of working out a buyer. You're in the middle of a deal with a potential buyer, and TikTok has not, been able to kind of do that, because you're talking about, major money, having to exchange hands and that kind of stuff. But I'm curious to see what the reaction is. If they do, officially go dark and people don't know how to get on it and use it, and it's going to be funny to me. Going to be funny to me. Social media, man. Social media. But anyway, let me get my behind up out of here, man. It's always appreciated, if y'all take the time to listen to little old me. We got Saturday, Sunday, NFL, Monday championship game. Hell, y'all like. I mean, I'll be in the building for that one. Should be a goodie. Ohio State, Notre Dame should be a goodie. We'll pick it up back again next week, and we'll talk, a little bit more NBA next week as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break. We'll talk about, All-Star voting and that kind of stuff, and kind of like this, like update on the state of the NBA. Because listen, I've tried to watch some games recently. I just ain't feeling the style of play, man. I just seem so. I'm disinterested in it. I'm just gonna I appreciate it on the replay, brother. I'm surprised my executive director has not cussed me out, but she may be on vacation. Hopefully. I hope y'all have a good weekend, man, and enjoy yourselves. And remember, man, what they hate in you ain't in them. And end you off with the phrase that pays around here: sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. Hey, y'all be careful out there, man. Y'all be careful out there. Y'all have a good evening, man. I'm out.